Hello folks, Killface of Baelor here, and what we are looking at is the Celtic Heroes item database. This is the secret that will take you from Castle Idiot to Kingdom Icon. This is how you develop a knowledge base unparalleled, save for perhaps someone like Furion, who will continuously amaze you even if you memorize this entire thing. However, this has been the key to much of my success outside of the secrets revealed in my gold gathering video, and the many benefits, both obvious and subtle, posed by the presence of a luxurious handlebar mustache and this odd accent that raises my perceived IQ by one standard deviation. Anyway, assuming you do not have access to either of those things, or even really if you do, here's a way to give yourself an actual advantage. If you just punch in Celtic Heroes database, this will come up, but there you can see the web address up at the top. Now, the big thing we're going to be looking at is various pieces of the search function. This database is maintained currently by Aragon from the forums. Aragon, and some numbers, 123, I think. It was originally started by Alexander, and Aragon happily took it up after the disbandment of Avalon on Morrigan, and with them some content creators disappeared, including the owner of this website. Anyway, this is how I have learned so much about the game. Here in the search function, we will we can search for a lot of different items, and this has access to even more items than are in the game, and the majority of items that are actually in the game. It will list their stats, etc. But what we're going to do today, we're going to go to groups, we're going to go to boss, because there was a relatively recent, I'm wrong, it's not under boss, brilliant. So I'm also out of practice navigating the database, so we'll learn here together. I know it's in here somewhere under endgame. There we go. Okay, so we want the loot list for Dino. For those of you who thought it was Dino, I understand. Many do not remember that Dino was in fact a famous pet from a time when I was a child, back when we knew why. Although it was called fast forward, it's not fast backwards, but rather rewind. Why you call it rolling up and down a window, from a time back when there were footholes in the floorboard of your car to get it started. Anyway, aside from all that, here I need to memorize the loot table for Dino, or basically the pattern of the loot table for Dino, so I figured I would just bring you along for the ride on that. Here we go. First thing I'm going to do is go to that loot list and just kind of look it over. So the first thing we're going to see is there are weapons, right? And it looks like there are both swords and daggers. That's kind of useful. I don't know for sure who the knuckle blades belong to, so I'm going to have to look into that. They could be maybe a ranger or rogue sort of weapon, a lot of different things. So I'm just getting a feel for what I'm going to have to memorize. There are grimoires and also totems, which would tend to make me think, okay, the grimoires can be used by mage or druid or something like that, you know. There's some different options, obviously. Now we're going to get into shadow weapons and then void weapons. And I know that because, and they're all void sworn. Something like the Mordhelms are all void scale, but you can also have I can't think of it now. You can have tiers where it's built like the Mortis Grimoires, I think, are a good example, where it's the like Void Heart or Void Lore or things like that. So that actually comes into play. And then here is another tier or another type or something. So there's a lot of different options for weapons, and we're going to look into that in just a moment. I know this is a lot to look at. We're going to end up with here some bracelets They follow a relatively standard tier, but all of a sudden we start departing into names again. And we're going to just get an idea of how this whole table is set up. For those of you who have already memorized it, just scrolling through, well, you're brilliant. And for those of you who just want a tour of the site, I'll do that as well. But I figured since I do have to memorize the drops for this boss, I would show you kind of how I do that. So I'm going to have necklaces to memorize as well. And there's a lot of loot for this boss. This table is just incredible. They really should be dropping 30 items, but come on, we all know that's not how this game works. And while there aren't icons for every item, you will notice that if you click a particular item, it gives you all of its stats. So here we have, I don't know, Ogmio's Necklace of Blizzards. But here, right, and it's not tiered. And here we have a Godly of a completely different sort. So that is an Ice Shard skill boost of 560, and I get a general idea of the stats. So it looks to me like this Ogmios, or whatever it is just a direct step up. So it's going to be an 80 direct damage boost to Ice Shards. It's going to be 50 across the board to the stat points and the energy. And then it's going to be 200 to the ice magic. That's going to lead me to believe that the Imperial is going to follow the same pattern, and that the Imperial Necklace will then be 480 direct damage to ice shards, 500 energy, 800 ice magic, 600 focus, 400 vitality. Now, all of the drops, if I'm not mistaken, are 220 required. I came into that knowing this, but we're going to go ahead and check whether my predictions were right. My predictions were, in fact, right. And what this tells me is I don't have to check the rest. I know how these work, right? And it also means that I know how this works, except that this is going to be direct damage to Firebolt. And I think it's going to be direct damage to Firebolt. It could be Firestorm. And it's going to follow a different pattern with the direct damage. And Firebolt, yes. 280, the stats will follow the same pattern, but now I need to see one more to know, okay, 245, the difference there is 35 points. In that case, the next one down is going to be 210. For those of you who can do that faster than me, congrats. It's late here and I'm bad at it. Then I'm going to double check that I was right. And now I have the stats memorized for all of these, right? It goes all the way down to Majestic, and that's the lowest tier. Knowing what this is, then I need to go down 2 more steps, right? So we go down by 70 from where we're at, and we get 160. That's not even close to right. I'm sorry. I went the wrong way. We get 140. So the Majestic tier is going to have 140. It's going to be minus 100 energy, so it's going to be 400 energy. It's going to be 400 energy, 400 fire magic? 500 focus, 300 vitality. And we'll see if that's all right. Yes, it is. So there you go. See, now I have it memorized, period. And this necklace will follow the same pattern, and because it says Seer, this is a Druid necklace, but I don't know what skill it will boost. Alright, so it gives Totem ability. Oh, never mind. This is nothing like the old pattern. Okay, so here I made a call. It was wrong, so now I need to learn the new version. Alright, so 320 to Lightning Strike. Okay, so here's actually something we can test, right? And I just realized this. We're going to go back. Oh, good heavens, sorry. We're going to go back to this. Okay, 640. 80 is 1/8 of 640. So I believe that these go down by 1/8 of the Ogmios version. So we're going to go to the Ogmios, and this needs to be 35 times 8, right? And it is. It's 35 times 8. What that tells us is that this Ogmios 1/8 is 40, so these are going to go down by 40. We don't know how much the damage and the abilities are going to go down. But, as you see, the damage did go down by 40. So the Ogmios version is 8 times the amount that the damage is backing off. And what this does is lets me see a random piece of gear and know all the other gear in that particular series. Now, the Seer is a melee damage druid weapon. So we're going to have 280 damage on the Godly. We're going to have 250 magic resist. And we're going to have 500 totem ability. And this was 300, 300, 600. So what this tells us is we're going down by 100 weapon ability. We're going down by 20 damage. And we're going down by 50 resist. And what that means is that our resist on the bottom tier, the Majestic, is going to be significantly lower than our damage. And our damage is probably going to walk its way down to 100 on the direct magic damage, if I am not mistaken. Right? So 20 at a time. It might only walk its way down to 200. So, easiest way to check that, go to here. Nope, I'm wrong. 220. The resist goes down to 200. The totem ability goes down to 100. But now I have an idea of how this works, right? Of how this pattern works. So we get a general idea what the necklace is. We check and we find that the mercenary necklace is a hand-to-hand ability. What on... what even is this? Oh my goodness. No one has any idea what this even is. Why would you want a necklace with 1500 hand-to-hand? Well, the reason for that would be to boost those knuckle blades. Why would you want 600 energy, 600 defense, and 500 focus on that necklace? Because you're crazy. This is an Inner Zen build necklace. For those of you who thought, right, that this had no purpose, you have not truly understood the Inner Zen build. This is the ultimate weapon of the Inner Zen build right here. No direct skill damage because, you know, who needs that? But there is incredible hand-to-hand ability. I'm sort of surprised that there hasn't been more complaining about that. These are these are a whole new level of WoW. Brawlers, that's got to be a warrior's necklace. So it's strength, it's hand-to-hand. What this means is that those knuckle blades are usable by warriors, rogues, and rangers. No, this is okay, the brawler's necklace is a rogue and a ranger. A lot of times brawlers would be a warrior term. Okay. But this is the same damage. Double attack skill, the reason they chose double attack skill for the skill points is because it's available to multiple classes. So, and because skill points are the only good way to directly boost double attack. You can't really offer a direct bonus to double attack. They could, but really they don't. So, and these will go down by the same amount. We don't know how much the skill points will go down by, so it's going down by 1. And the abilities are only going down by 100 here. Interesting. Strength is moving down by 25 at a time. Assassin's necklace is dagger. Notice there's significantly less dagger ability than there was hand-to-hand ability. One of the cool things that this allows is for people not to need to train their hand-to-hand as much, but the big thing that it allows in the long run is for that necklace to multiply the damage of the knuckle blade significantly more than this necklace would multiply the damage of a dagger. Basically, it lets you overbalance the strength of the knuckle blade, and the argument for why you are allowed to do it is because this amulet boosts quick strike ability or quick strike damage, and the last one did not, right? And so we're going to see these reduced by 20 and 50 and 100 just like we did before. 20 and 50 and 100, and this reduced by 1/8, right? So 400, 1/8 is 50, goes down by 50. Same thing here. Valor, that's normally a warrior term. Melee combat, yep, that's a warrior term. So this looks like it's meant to be a tank amulet, although, again, no one knows why they added strength to it. I'm not actually complaining about that one. This is a fantastic hybrid necklace, and I happen to like hybrids. Why? Because I'm weird like that. Really, the reason why is I don't like being pigeonholed into only one thing I can do. I like to be a little bit flexible. Not even so much because I play particularly seriously, but because that's part of the fun of it for me. Learning to leverage pieces of gear for unusual methods, whether it be to save gold or whatever. The understanding of this kind of gear lets me pre-plan hundreds of levels in advance what my end game goal is, and while it might change, I get to see, okay, everyone's going to think this particular piece of gear is bad, therefore is there a build where this particular piece of gear is good, right? And I can go through this and spend enough time on it that eventually I can hear the name of a piece of gear and I can know that it is exactly what the stats are, right? So the Brawler's necklace that I thought would be Warrior is actually Ranger and Rogue, but the Barbarian's necklace is in fact Warrior, and so is the Mercenary's necklace. Right, the Barbarians being a club and the Mercenary being melee combat. Sorry, the Valor being melee combat, and I don't remember what the Mercenary was. Genius. Shadows, that's got to be Rogue. Cunning, attack, strength, dexterity. Yeah, so basically it looks like there's an option that doesn't boost a direct skill. Probably a support option, which is why you see more dex than strength, and a lot of cunning and attack here. Right, here we go. There's a sort of top tier version. And it's named after a particular fallen hero, probably. It probably says there. I probably should be reading it, but I'm not. I just want to give you a feel for how it is that I know the things that I know, and a lot of it is due to this website. So this is partially just a very large thank you to both Alexander and Aragon for keeping this project running. It's incredibly helpful. Here, right, we're going to see that the Bracelet of Resistance is the Ward Monkey bracelet, basically. I don't know that that's the term, but, you know, that's generally that's the closest thing I can think. And makes sense, since wards boost resistances. I don't know what the lure one is called. Opposition. Yep. So opposition is another set of wards. Oh, well, that's cool. The Nature's Breath is Nature's Breath. And this one's a bracelet. Oh, are all these bracelets? I moved right into bracelets and didn't even notice. Okay, so the bracelets, we have resistance bracelets, right? And these are skill points of two different types. When we get up to a Nature's Breath bracelet, what we're getting is the cooldown of a Necro bracelet, the direct skill points that you would find, and the ability that you would find on a Moored bracelet. So basically, instead of the direct boost from a Moored bracelet, you get a cooldown item instead, right? And you get all the way down to, and these look like they're going by 5%, right? So let's check all the way down here. All the way down to 20%, 11, 6, yes, and it's still a decent bracelet. For those of you freaking out and saying, but it's a fantastic bracelet. Well, it is, but also compared to the top tier, meh. So here we have a Majestic Spectral Bracelet of Nature's Touch. That doesn't offer cooldown. It offers direct. It's basically just a better Moored bracelet. Same thing here, right? And then the Aberrant bracelet is back to cooldowns. Spectral bracelet back to direct damage, right? So, and the Deviant bracelet is just the skill points, and So these are the sorts of things you can see. Deviant bracelets, you're just getting a lot of skill points and some ability. And spectral bracelets, you're going to get direct damage, and then the aberrant bracelets are going to be cooldown. And that's the sort of thing, there's always some sort of pattern to the terms, and a site like this, in my opinion, is almost completely necessary to wrap your head around all of the terms without needing to play through all of the content. And that's a lot of what I've done. So anyway, I wanted to give you a look at my process here. I'll do the same thing with the weapons. So spectral bracelet, this is going to be direct damage to firebolt, as well as the skill points and the ability. Yeah, right. And it's the same thing. This, oh, Nodin's bracelet of rapid shot. This has to be a cooldown. Yeah, it's an aberrant bracelet. It has to be cooldown for rapid shot. So that's just like skill points as far as that, right? And you'll notice that while this is Nodin's bracelet of barbed shot, it's a spectral bracelet at a lower tier, right? So as a spectral, it's going to be direct damage to barbed shot, and it's the initial hit, not the tick, because it's never tick damage, right? Barbed shot's first hit. There you go. And you start to learn rules like that across the board. This is an aberrant bracelet of long shot, which means it has cooldown. And it's cooldown. There you go. And you start to see the pattern. We go up 4 million years. We will look at a dark dagger. Basically, it has a similar skill to Gelbron's weapons. It has magic resist, dagger ability, which is a cool thing to have on a dagger. And dex, damage. This just looks like they're trying to make slightly better Gelbron weapons. And for those of you looking at it and thinking, the dark one may not be as good as a Void Gelbron weapon. First of all, I'm not going to argue whether it's as good as a Void Gelbron weapon. But I will happily argue that that darks and voids are not a straight comparison, even if you're comparing a higher and lower boss, which you're not. These are 220 bosses. Okay, so this granting a similar skill to the Necral heat damage bow. And here we are, right? So a lot of hand-to-hand ability again. This would be very good in conjunction with the necklace. But the other upside here is that you would not have to use a hero haste to hit the top attack speed. As a matter of fact, even just using a haste ring, you would come quite close indeed. 30% reduction, the way that 30% reduction works is that you take off 30% of 1700, and at 1100, which is one attack every 1.1 seconds, that's your cap. So what we're going to do, right, is multiply 1700 times 0.7, and the way you do that is you go 170 times 7, so 700, 7 times 7 is 49, so 1109, right? So, or sorry, 1190. So we're a little under a tenth of a second over the cap. But you could definitely hit it with a standard super haste instead of hero haste. So anyway, that's a look at how those work and why you might want something like that. Could you get your server to okay you using that hand-to-hand weapon without hero haste? Probably. Not guaranteed, but probably. So anyway, and this will be your tank weapon, as you can see there. But yeah, there's a look at my process. I hope it helped you, and I hope you can do a similar thing. I'll do future videos on how to find some of the lists of items that you want that are not easily found within a single list on this site. That's it. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed it, do thumbs up and share it around with anyone else that it might help. Go ahead and leave some feedback in the comments as to whether this helped you, or whether you have better tips for how to use the site or whatever, both Alexander and I'm sure will read through whatever comments are here. Sorry, both Aragon and I don't know where Alexander is, but I'll be sending links to these to Aragon, so I'm sure he'll read through the feedback as well, although you can also contact him directly through the site, through contact, right? And I recommend that you do so. Yeah, anyway, that's it. Don't forget to subscribe for more Celtic Heroes related content, and to go ahead and drop a line for what sort of things you would like to see, any questions that you have, or any tips that you have to make the general experience better for future viewers, whether that be different methods for me to film or things that people might benefit from or whatever. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.